Hey, it's Ken Lewis. Welcome to thisis50.com and audioschoolonline.com. So about a year ago, it was like a Tuesday night at 8 o'clock, I get this phone call from G-Unit asking me, can I mix a song for 50 Cent that night? So I was available. I said sure. So 2 hours later, 50 Cent is sitting in my studio, and we proceeded to spend all night until about 6 o'clock in the morning mixing Down on Me for Jeremih and 50 Cent. So I'm going to take you through the entire process of how I mixed that song from start to finish. I'm going to show you all the plugins that I'm using. Basically, I'm going to do a brand new mix on it, but I kind of remember what I did, so I'm going to try and do a lot of the similar techniques that you heard on the radio. Also, I'm going to kind of talk about all the gear that I'm using, the SSL, some of the outboard gear, Pro Tools, the plugins. So the very first thing that happened when 50 got here, he walks in the door and he says, "Hey, you need to set up a microphone. We need to record a verse." I mean, this is within 30 seconds of walking in. You know, I love 50. He's all business. I hadn't worked with him since a decade ago when he was on Columbia Records. I worked on his first album. So he walks in. He needs to cut half of the intro verse and half of the final second verse that he's in. I already had a microphone set up just in case. For you gearheads out there, I'll kind of show you all the gear that I used on him. This microphone is a Sony C800G microphone. It's a tube condenser microphone, and I use this to record 50's verses. And this particular mic has a lot of history. I've recorded everybody on it from Kanye West to 50 to Mary J. Blige, Beyonce, Diana Ross. A lot of great history on this microphone. And so I also recorded him through a Groove Tubes Viper mic pre, which is this gigantic tube mic pre. It's got like 8 tubes in it. And then through a Thermionic Phoenix tube compressor, and then into Apogee converters straight into Pro Tools. So I didn't go through the SSL to record him, but everything during the mix actually goes through the SSL. So I use a combination of both plugins internally with Pro Tools and the faders and pan pots and EQs and whatnot on the SSL, and then it all gets recombined back into Pro Tools to finish it. So I'm going to take you through the whole mix start to finish, show you everything that I did, and let's come along. Let's check it out. Okay, so when I mix, I like to start out by getting a rough mix of the music happening very quickly so that I can start feeling where all of the music is supposed to go and how to put it all together, and then see what needs, you know, EQs and compression and reverbs and special effects and whatnot. So I'm just going to spend the next several minutes just kind of getting some very basic balances and, you know, EQs and effects just on the music, and then I'll put the vocals in later. This thing has some of the craziest sounds in it. You know, the whole song has like 109 tracks to it. You know, when you hear it on the radio, it probably doesn't sound like there's very much to it. It sounds fairly simple, but when you actually see all of the raw tracks and you put it all together, you realize like this is a lot of different really intricate parts that are working together. Like there's a kick drum, another kick drum, another kick drum. There's a bass line, so there's at least 3 kicks. I think there's even more than that. And then you have a snare, a clap, crunch, which is another clap, clap 2. So there's like this whole intricate pattern of like kicks and snares going on, mixed with hi-hats, and then there's this tom pattern that goes through the whole thing. Obviously, this is like one of the main sounds that runs through the whole thing. It's called ethnic something or other. So the first time I ever met 50 Cent was when he was signed to Columbia Records doing his first album. And I got a call to be a recording engineer on the sessions for the Trackmasters. Trackmasters were producing, 50 was the artist. We were down at the Cutting Room Studios in Lower Manhattan. And I just distinctly remember 50 walking in for the first time. I didn't really know who he was. I had only heard his name a couple times. Definitely wasn't famous back then. And he came in and he was such a focused, hardworking artist. You know, he came in and grabbed a pad of paper, turned on some music, and started writing. And I just watched him write like crazy for 2 weeks, not 2 weeks, 2 days straight. I'm sure he did write for weeks straight. But I got to work with him for a couple days. He was just writing and recording nonstop. And, you know, he'd finish the song and he'd put his vocals down. I think he probably wrote like 5 songs in the course of 2 days. And I'm not talking about like 5 verses. I'm talking about 5 complete entire songs. Hooks, verses, arrangement, recording, the entire 9. He was just so focused. But probably the most impressive thing about 50 was when he showed up here for the Down On Me mix. The exact same guy that I met back in those Columbia days, probably in the late 90s, is the exact same guy who showed up for these sessions. And here's a guy who's had tremendous success, tremendous celebrity, tremendous wealth, and years later, none of that ever affected who he is as a person. And he came in and it was just like we caught up, and it felt like I had been working with my old friend who, you know, I had been working with nonstop for years. We just picked right up where we left off and got to work, and he was a great guy to work with, and I just had the best time mixing this record. And I think, you know, just like back then, he inspired me to want to make sure that I did the very best job on this record that I could. And the rest is history. #1 on the charts. So basically, as I'm rough mixing this, I'm thinking about just trying to get basic balances and feels for kind of all of the instrumentation, and then I'll start kind of working the vocals in. And then after I do that, I'm going to start really focusing on, you know, proper EQs and compression and effects and stuff like that. That's the craziest sound ever. Let me see if I can find it for you. Where is it? Here we go. So I'm going to start with this while I've got it here. If you're listening with a subwoofer, you can hear how much low end this shaker has. Man, we don't need any of that sub, so I'm just going to filter that stuff out. Might lose you while I insert an EQ. So all I'm doing is setting a low frequency filter, just getting rid of all the subs and like super lows. It doesn't affect the sound of the shaker at all. It just gets rid of the crap. I love this drop sound in here. This thing has just got crazy low end and it cuts through on the radio so nicely. Hey, it's Ken Lewis. I'm just taking a break from this Jeremih mix to tell you about my new website. It's basically an audio school called audioschoolonline.com. audioschoolonline.com. And I set the school up so that young aspiring producers and engineers and artists would have a place to come and learn the real information that you need to know about how to make records from the people, myself, who are making the records that you listen to. I've been making records for major labels since 1993. I'm still making a ton of major label records. I worked on Eminem's Recovery. I mixed the Jeremih 50 record. I worked on Watch the Throne. I worked on My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. I've worked on all the Kanye records. I've recorded everybody from like Mariah to Beyonce to Kanye to, you name it. So I set the school up so that I could teach you exactly the techniques that I'm using to make records on a daily basis. And I have all kinds of different lessons. Like one of them is mixing for mixtapes. So I take a mixtape mix, just a 2-track of music and stacks and stacks of vocals, both rapping and singing, and I do a full mix, 90 minutes start to finish, and show you each step of the way exactly what I'm doing and why I'm doing it and how I'm doing it, and then I provide you the entire Pro Tools session along with the video download. So that at home you can follow along with the video and you can practice on that exact material. You can see all of my plugin settings, the whole 9 yards. So it's audioschoolonline.com. I think it's an amazing site for young aspiring producers, engineers, artists, songwriters, musicians, you name it. Check it out. Everything is a la carte. There's no enrollment or membership or anything like that. You just go, you figure out what you want to learn, and you pick that up. And also, I've got a great free section on the thing. I think I've got the best free section of any website out there. Tons of resources, free plugins, free soft synths, lots of great resources. So check it out, audioschoolonline.com. I'm going to get back to this Jeremih mix. Cool, so my rough mix is together. Basically, I don't know, it's probably been 10 minutes. So now I have all of the sounds kind of somewhat balanced the way I think the direction I'm going to go with this song. So now I'm going to start tailoring each sound to see how I can dial it in with the music. And the first things I think I'm going to start with is this tom sound and this ethnic sound. So let me start with the toms, because what I want to do is I want to compress them with a really fast attack, really fast release compressor, which I'm going to show you. I'm going to use a IK Multimedia Black 76 compressor. This thing is really great vintage emulation. So fast attack is on 7, fast release is on 7. Okay, so when it's bypassed, you should probably feel like it feels like a really dry, close, in-your-face kind of a tom, but I want it to feel a bit more ambient. Like this whole song has this kind of vibe and ambience to it, and every piece of the puzzle that you're putting together is going to help enhance that ambience. So these toms are one of them. So if I compress the toms with a really fast attack and release, then I can get this more kind of like you're in a bigger hall with it, and you hear more of the decays of the actual sample. So this ethnic thing, I think it's dead mono. Yeah, this ethnic thing is dead mono, so I'm going to try some reverb on it. I have this Lexicon PCM reverb hall on it. The preset is actually called Ginormous Hall, which it sounds like. You probably wouldn't think that this much reverb is on this particular sound, but it's like almost a 4-second reverb, which is like standing in a Gothic cathedral. Now I'm going to put some compression on that so that it stays kind of really present in the mix. Man, what do I want to use on this? One of my favorite compressors is this, oh, there. It's on the UAD stuff. I've got all the UAD stuff. It's amazing. This Neve 33609. Now, when I think about the word compression, this is pretty much exactly what I think about. This plugin sounds, it just sounds like great compression. So I'm just compressing it a bit, not terribly hard, not a super fast attack, not a super fast release, mild compression levels. I'm just trying to even it out a little bit. I'm not really trying to make it sound too affected. It's the same thing, the signals thing. I'm going to put a 33609 UAD on that one as well. And it's just to kind of even it out and keep the peaks. But I am going to put a fast attack limiter on this as well. Where is it? So this is basically super fast attack, super fast release. I'm just kind of making sure that it stays at one volume. I told you there's some of the craziest sounds in this song. So this one's called Songer. I don't know what the heck it means. I didn't produce the song. I'm only mixing it. So I'm going to try some reverb on this as well. Work on the tambourine now. See how much reverb is trailing in there? It's crazy how much. Most of the time, most hip-hop songs I use little to no reverb. This is just one of those that, like, again, you're trying to capture the whole kind of vibe and ambience of this real setting, and I just happen to use a lot of reverb on this. But most of the vocals are pretty dry. Now I'm gonna compress this a little bit. I'll probably just use a L2007 limiter. And I've got this I've got this Lexicon room on this. It's a pretty short room. You can kind of hear the decay of it. So can you hear when I add the reverb in that it kind of goes from dead mono to out in stereo? And all it is just a touch of this. It's called Medium Tight Room 2 under Medium Rooms on the Lexicon PCM stuff. Now I'm also going to put a bit of EQ on this and just dial out a touch of the mid-range where it might fight with the lead vocals a little bit. So I don't want it fighting at all with the lead vocals. API graphic EQ. I think by itself it actually sounds better without the EQ on it, but I'm not trying to mix it by itself. This needs to work in the context of the whole song. So if I dial out some of that mid-range, it'll give me more room for the vocals to sit where they need to sit. I'm going to thin the hi-hat way out and make it just sit right on top of the mix. So I'm just brightening up 16K, that's all I'm doing. Now I'm going to compress this open hat with a really fast attack and release so it gets out of the way of the fast hat, and I just want to hear more of the decay of this. So let's see, I think I'll just use an L2007. If you can see the screen and you can hear what I'm doing, basically I'm taking the attack away and I'm making it feel like it lasts longer. Because I'm getting all of the attack from the dry hi-hat, so I don't need the attack, I just need the decay. I think I'm going to use a Master X compressor on that snare fill, really make it kind of pop nice and loud. Alright, so the instrumental portion of my riff mix is pretty much together, so I'm going to start moving into getting the vocals into the mix. And once the vocals are beginning to sit well, then I'll go back and I will work on the music some more.